Attention, your paradigm is about to shift at the intersection of fact and reason. You're entering Kingston Country.
I'm Dan Kingston, and you're listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast. So you have a tweet by Rose McGowan. Dear Iran, the USA has disrespected your country, your flag, your people. 52% of us humbly apologize. We want peace with your nation. We are being held hostage by a terrorist regime. We do not know how to escape. Please do not kill us. Hashtag Suleimani. Okay, that's Rose McGowan. And as far as I'm concerned, it's treasonous rhetoric. She should be exiled to Iran, and I think you'd probably agree. But the question is, if you were gifted a Rose McGowan, say, would you send her back or use her all to yourself? Most people, I think, would send her back. Most patriots would send back Rose McGowan. I ran this poll. 4% actually did choose use her all to yourself. Well, I wonder what you'd use her for, you sick pervert. But that being said, fine. It's like when you get a home run ball at the baseball game. Are you going to keep it or are you going to throw it back? Well, if it's the bad guys, you always throw it back. You don't keep a home run ball of the opposing team, not unless you're a traitor yourself. Okay, before the drone strike yesterday, Iranian General Amir Ali Hajizadeh said Iran was ready for war with the United States. Well, now with the death of Suleimani, suddenly Hajizadeh has piped down, hasn't he? Iran can try whatever they want in retaliation, let's be honest. Ultimately, our blows will always be more powerful and painful compared to whatever they do against us. This drone strike was partly to demonstrate that capability. This is exactly why we've developed the drone capability and the lethality of the drone strike capability, because we want to avoid the large-scale wars like Iraq. And if we can decapitate the leadership of Iran without having to enter a full-scale war, well, that's great. Look, Democrats don't support drone strikes to take out terrorists. That's pretty clear by now. But they have in the past supported the large-scale ground wars that create terrorists. So they've gotten it completely backwards. I think that the Democrat by nature seems to be more cowardly. I wonder why that is, and if you agree with that statement. Hi, thanks for calling the Dan Kingston Podcast.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. What's your first name and what city are you calling from?
My name is Mike. I'm calling from Temecula, California.
Listen, Mike, in order to spice things up in the bedroom, would you or your partner consider role-playing as Trump?
I would, but I don't know if my wife would go for that,
Fair enough.
She is pro-Trump.
And what about role-playing as Hillary Clinton?
Absolutely not. No, that goes the opposite direction.
What about the number of murders committed by Hillary Clinton? Would you say 0 to 5, 6 to 10, or 11 plus?
Well, based on what I've read, and you take a grain of salt with everything you read, but I'd go 11 plus. It's just too coincidental.
It's shocking, isn't it?
It's beyond shocking. Yes, yeah. It's it's mind blowing, but it's beyond coincidental. I think it's a little bit more coincidental is meeting someone and hey, we happen to grow up in the same town, but it's more not coincidental but awakening. It's literally waking up and seeing what has actually happened allegedly. So yeah.
So why aren't people talking about it in the mainstream media if this is really the case? Is she just so connected that that's how she's getting away with it?
Well, I think you and I both would agree that that's the absolute case is that she's connected. They're all connected, and it just seems to be that that's what's coming out very slowly, maybe methodically, that nobody is getting the right information, and partially because it's what's happening out there is just so bad.
Let me ask you this. How many of the politicians do you think are actually human?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've thought of it myself. At this point in life, anything is a possibility. to be human, you have to have morals, and I would say any of them don't have morals. Without morality, I mean, it's being stripped from our society since, I'm 48 years old. It's just from when I was 10, 11, 12 growing up to now, it's a complete 180. So there are no morals in politics, I believe. So you have to have morals to be a human.
I guess there's that. I mean, are they monsters? Yes. But there's a lot of people that think they could actually be extraterrestrial in origin, at least a select few. And I'm wondering, is that mostly Democrats? Is it equal in number? Or is that just completely crazy?
Yeah, you know what? It's obviously, to most people out there, that's completely crazy. So like I said, everything you have to take with a grain of salt. You hear theories on that. You read up on it. I don't know. Extraterrestrial, is it a possibility? Well, yeah. But I have not seen one shred of evidence that is a possibility, but I'm not going to throw it away. I mean, there has to be something else out there, someone else. Sure, our universe is too big, too vast.
I mean, you have the establishment elites are getting the blood of young children in order to hopefully stay young themselves. And so when that's happening, I guess you got to shrug your shoulders and say, who the heck knows what's going on? Celebrity cloning. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Yeah, absolutely. All that I think it's adrenochrome or whatever it's called that you alluded to. That's, more or less that's happening. Absolutely. Whether it keeps you older longer, makes you look younger, I don't know. It's a theory, but I don't think that actually happens. I think what it does is it's an absolute drug. It's a narcotic that they use, and it's sickening. So that theory I subscribe to 100%. It's just disgusting, and the elites are using it. And, alien, not alien, these elites are what they are. They're power hungry, they're controlling. All that other stuff could be a distraction, but the society, the world we live in today, the reason I'm calling in is kind of just to give my 2 cents. I think a lot of people think, you think it, 10 people think it. So I'm just kind of subscribing to the fact that this world is sick, led by the sick elite people who are on top. Look, I'm thinking it. I'm an educated guy. I'm a librarian at a middle school. I feel like I am somewhat awake to what's going on. Well, that's interesting that we still have libraries in schools. What kind of school is it? Is it what state are you calling from? It's in the elementary school in California, so it's a very liberal state here. A lot of teachers are what I like to call indoctrinated. But where I live in Southern California, Southwest Riverside County. It's there are a lot of conservatives out here. So, but in the school systems, mostly the teachers are liberal, but I'm not. My wife is not. There's just so much confusion, what to trust, what to believe, and right now, I think it's especially the case for kids that are being indoctrinated. And it's so interesting that you're calling. I didn't know what you do for a living. You just call in, and you're a librarian, which seems to be so important right now when people are trying to figure out what to make sense of what's going on. It sounds crazy when you say, when I say, oh, the elites, could they be extraterrestrials? But what's more crazy? I mean, that or what's going on all around us right now? Well, absolutely what's going on around us, because that's what you see and that's what you know. I guess what you don't know is scary. It's crazy once you find out what's going on. But, the kids, the indoctrination isn't just with the schools and the teachers, it's the parents. There's a lot of students here who I've had many discussions with them regarding politics, and everyone seems to really hate our president. And I said, well, why? Give me a reason. And so, it comes back down to, well, he's racist and the border stuff. And so I politely correct them and give them facts. So it's doing a little bit at a time. I'm not going the other way and bombarding them and saying, hardcore Trump fan or anything like that. But if facts are facts, there's 3% work wages are up. I mean, people have jobs. We want to protect our country. We want to protect our citizens. You should come here legally. He's not against illegal immigration. He's against illegal immigration. It's so, you give them little facts and you try to help out the best you can. And that's what I do. And that's why I subscribe to you and I listen to you, and, everyone's voice counts. So. Yeah, I know it totally does. What about civic education. Does that play a role in this whole thing?
Yeah, I think it does. It's just, you just have to be open-minded and learn to think for yourself. I think that's the biggest key to all of this. But when you're told from a young age, you're very easily manipulated, and you're like a sponge. Every kid is like a sponge. Every person is. The older you get, the more, hopefully, the more well-rounded you have become. So when it comes to your education, you can start to think for yourself and disseminate from right or wrong and this and that. But going back to my initial thought, is the reason why I did call is because I am a Catholic. I am religious and I do practice, and I believe that the Catholic religion isn't perfect in that it is led by humans, the Pope, the deacons, the bishops, and there are bad people everywhere you go. And so morality plays a huge role in our society, and I think it's really been cut off at the knees for many years. So I think if you have good morals, you practice morality, being a good person, that's what's going to win.
It's true. And that's not to say that there's not a place for sexuality in politics. I believe that politics is bringing the sexy back in some ways. QAnon seems to be bringing that fun into politics. Have you followed QAnon at all?
Absolutely.
What do you make of that? Yeah. Because, we've spent time on it. I want to spend more time on it going forward as the podcast continues. It sounds like you've been listening, and so you've maybe heard some of the coverage given to QAnon. Is that something you'd like to hear more of?
I would, and I would like to hear more of it from our president. And I would like, obviously, the thing with QAnon is people get really just come on, let's get on with it, open it up, bring the indictments, let's start the pain, all that stuff. The rhetoric is growing louder and louder for them to do something, but you can't undo something. Again, this is more rhetoric. You can't do anything. It took them years and decades and centuries to do what they've done, I believe, the elite. So you can't undo that in one term, possibly not two, but what we're doing is we're really putting a chink in the armor. So what QAnon is doing is, whoever they are, whatever it is, it's almost a gift from God.
Could it be Trump himself?
Well, I believe he is heavily involved. I don't believe that he is the mastermind, but I believe he is one of what they call a handful, right? You can count them on your two hands.
Yeah.
I believe he is involved heavily. Absolutely.
What if it turns out to be some 400-pound guy on his bed?
Then we've all been hoodwinked. And what can I say?
But there's so much that has come forward that we'd almost have to keep listening to this 400-pound guy in the bed, right?
Well,
he's onto something.
Okay, well, we've been hoodwinked in the fact that it's not this paramilitary group of a select few and Trump himself. But what's happening, it's undeniable. You cannot. I mean, just the outing of these politicians and the evil doings and the Clintons and Podesta. I mean, a lot of people have gone silent too. I haven't heard much from Obama and Clintons or Podesta. Where's he gone? I mean, the pedophilia is, Epstein is being pushed under the rug by the impeachment, but they're doing a very good job at turning our heads away from what's really happening.
There's a whole lot of distraction, and a lot of interest is geared that way. Well, thank you for your wise words. Thank you for taking a chance calling into the Dan Kingston podcast. Appreciate it. So, give me a break, right? The Democrats complaining about the drone strike. Look, if Soleimani carried out a major attack against Americans, like he was believed to be planning, by the way, the leftists would be criticizing him, and they'd be infuriated if Trump did not take lethal action when we had the opportunity. Okay, so they want it both ways, and they always side with the enemy. It seems to be the far left does. I mean, am I being too harsh? Obviously, there are good people, on both sides, right? To say a favorite quote from Trump, but it does seem to be time and time again that the Democrats side with the enemy.
Kingston Country. You've been listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast.